Welcome to Basically Sci-Fi, the short story podcast with stories you can basically call sci-fi. I'm Adam.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Todd.
And this week, we are also, again, not doing any more, what are they called? Things where someone tells you how to write your story. The word that I can't remember. Anyway.
Prompts.
That's the word, prompt. Yeah, I should have promptly remembered that. But yeah, we're not using them anymore. Which is exciting. Although...
It is.
You may notice,
I'm so excited.
I'm still continuing on with the rocks and magnetism as kind of a, still, fourth story into this thing, and it's still around. So that's really committed to that bit.
Mine was too.
Yeah, last week. Yours was as well.
But rocks and magnetism was such a good prompt.
It was. And... It's not really sci-fi so much as it's, I don't know, what's the opposite of sci-fi? Geologic?
Yeah, on a chart, that's the direct opposite.
Magnetism?
Yeah, it's like the direct opposite.
Yeah.
Rocks, magnetism, I mean, that's some, earth science to high school nonsense.
That's venturing out of the realm of sci-fi and into miracles.
Into miracles.
Science fact, maybe, or...
I strictly only write science fantasy. Okay, excuse me. But it is tangential to science fiction.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta have a space wizard.
Sometimes you do gotta have a space wizard.
Because you don't have space science, so it's just a lot easier.
Space Gandalf. So this week, let's see, I still am using the one really big long document that I've put my story into.
Okay. What were your goals in writing this story? What did you want to accomplish with it?
Just really have some fun. I mean,
good enough.
Besides that, though, I'm just kind of, working through some thoughts. I've thought about this kind of story basis when I was thinking of things for D&D, kind of like a space setting D&D, and so I never got to play that game. So I am just kind of working through what might have happened in the story.
Yeah.
I never go to D&D night with the guys, so I guess
you gotta.
Your character the whole time has been Buck Peters.
We never really got there.
Okay.
Yeah. It was during a time where Alex couldn't leave the house because his wife said Corona was dangerous and you can't leave the house. So, we had to kind of cancel that run. And now that we picked back up again, it's someone else's turn to be DM, so I got out of that shit. Anyway. Aside from that, are you guys ready to just jump on into some science fiction?
Yeah.
Great.
Lay it on me.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out. I thought I lost you for a second.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just gonna jump right on in. Buck ascended. Tired, damp, and angry.
Where's the title?
Oh, the title? It's the burger delivery flavor. No,
Looking around the room, the person, woman, man, camera,
the
TV.
First thing you see, yeah.
No, this is Buck Wild Part 3.
All right.
Yeah. Until he's dead.
Oh.
What?
That was... I just, I forgot, since I just edited episode 12, the game is for the audience to try to date the episode.
Oh!
And I just pretty obviously dated it by saying person, woman, man, camera, TV. The famous Kaiser Soze line.
Person, woman,
What?
man, camera, TV.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Did that happen? Is that another thing that happened on TV that Man with Orange Hair may or may not have done?
That is related to the orange one.
Well, I actually also have an orange one in this
I try
episode.
to not see anything that he says or does.
That is so much
that I
better
don't
for your health.
Get very angry and panicky.
Let me get off of clowncore here for a second.
No, I'm sorry. Just read your story.
Okay. Buck ascended, tired, damp, and angry. The pit had been full of so much carnage. It wouldn't be out of place at the labyrinthium of Altmore, with thousands a day sacrificed to cheering crowds. But on such a small backwater world, Buck couldn't imagine how large this planet's population must have originally been.
Ooh.
The stone arch, the monster, the mother, and this necklace. Buck wanted some answers. His head crest over the edge of the stone outcropping where Captain Arlo had ejected him what felt like hours ago. Who knew how long it had truly been? Buck knew counting was for nerds, so he didn't. The captain seemed a little different now. He seemed apprehensive, frightened even. He held his spear with a death grip as Buck finally cleared the platform and stepped out onto the stone. The Froggos, who had gathered earlier, were gone, save for Arlo and a few guards behind him. They seemed to have been waiting for something. Perhaps they heard the tragic death of the rock beast. Buck didn't care. He walked right up to Arlo and dropped the rock beast's head fragment on the ground, all light having gone out of its eye sockets, right at Arlo's feet. Nobody gets to pound Buck Peters, he said, with a gratuitous, smug defiance. The Froggos backed away a step as one. Buck held out the amulet, the rune still glowing blue. Arlo stopped in his tracks. Confusion came over his little froggy boy face. Arlo, I've got a bunch of things I want to ask you, but first, I'll be taking me things back. And he held out his hand. The Froggo reluctantly approached Buck and carefully placed Buck's pack at his feet. Bowed so far, his little froggy noggin touched the stone beneath. Now, what did he sound like again? I think he sounded like an old pervert, and that's just what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Nice.
Definitely some of my voices get mixed up too when I'm reading.
Oh yeah, especially
That's why I
it's
have to
been
make
so
notes.
long between recordings. I need to really.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just going to put a picture of Steve Buscemi next to this guy in the file, so I know what he sounds like.
You're not just gonna go,
Arbiter, please forgive my earlier outrage. I knew not your place among us. I am eternally recalcitrant. If that be the case, you probably need to see a doctor about your recalcium. Don't worry, I know one that's real discreet. And he looked up at the stars that twinkled above. He's half a galaxy away, though. He sighed.
This joke is still going.
What?
Nothing. I love that it's still going.
What?
Nothing.
Is there a joke? I didn't write a joke there. That was just an interaction.
What?
What are you talking about? Joke? Alright.
Nope.
When Buck looked back down, the Froggo was still there, bowing, bent as far as he could. Chin up, my boy, he said, and put a hand on top of the Froggo's little head. The Froggo trembled slightly, but slowly returned to his full height. Arlo looked back up at Buck. Arbiter, we must find somewhere more appropriate to talk. Very true. Why don't we go chat with the mother? I have appropriate questions for her. Not like last time, I hope. Oh yeah, no. I'm gonna ask her what the hell some big-ass rock monster was doing down at the bottom of this fucking huge cavern you have. You know. Well, maybe...
Questions the audience wants answers to.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe you'd like a break first. Oh no, I'm quite fine. It took long enough to ride that godforsaken rock back up here. Again, quite fine. But you see, Arbiter, the mother is not going to, well, be as amenable as you may be hoping. Are you saying she's not going to be as nice to me as last time? Look, I've gone over that whole scenario in my head a few times now. I definitely shouldn't have bothered her. Totally my bad. Well, introspection is a key quality of an arbiter. I'm happy to see a new one chosen. Well. Though she shouldn't have been hiding the fact that she... Back to where we were, though. I need somewhere better to talk. We need somewhere better to talk. Someplace more discreet. Follow. He croaked a series of orders, and the Froggo guards dispersed, each a different direction, a different tunnel or path. Into the tunnels again. I don't really like the dark. No more. Let's move, primate. And now they're going. Buck followed Arlo down the center path, leading away from the platform. It wound and wound into the deep, dark dankness of the froggy colony.
Did you get that backwards?
What? Did I? Is it dank,
the
dark,
dank
deepness?
darkness?
Wait, what?
It works.
I think I'm going to go with dark, deep dankness. And that's just... Anyway, far from the gorge side... far from the gorge side abodes with their windows carved into the walls. Where the fuck am I? Oh, it's so small.
You should get a notepad.
I need to get a tablet. Buck followed Arlo down the centered tunnel leading away from the platform. It wound and wound into the deep, dark dankness of the froggy colony. Far from the gorge-side abodes with their windows, out into what passed for sunlight down here. This part of the complex had simple doors of stone or flaps of leather lining the shadowy corridors. Buck was led pretty far, but exactly how far he couldn't say. Gradually, the tunnels became darker and darker. Buck was right about to ask to hold the Froggo's hand when suddenly Arlo stopped and knocked twice on the door to his right. It opened smoothly, and, entering, he beckoned Buck to follow. So when a beckoning frog beckons, you gotta go, right? Obviously. Buck slipped right in, and the door seemed to shut behind him as if by magic. A ribbit came from behind him, and he spun to find a small, orange-colored froggy boy, barely knee-height, yet so old and wrinkly. Like an orange someone had left in the sun to dry. A scuttling noise could be heard by Buck's foot, yet he refused to look down. Whatever lived in some dusty fart's old house down here, crawling on the floor, slinking around, was none of Buck's business. Arlo walked around the room. Buck could see was cut into the stone. What? Goddammit. Arlo walked around the room, which Buck could see was cut into the stone, just like all the others. This one had no windows, however, and a small amount of bioluminescent moss on the ceiling. A table and a set of chairs populated the center of the room, and a leather flap separated this room from the room beyond. Come and sit, Arbiter! Arlo gestured to the chairs as he took one himself. Buck saw the old Froggo was at the head of the table already. How'd he get there so fast? Oh, no matter. Buck came up and sat down in a chair. It was so cold. He could feel it right through his clothes. He rubbed a hand along it, and it was stone, but with no carving gouges or marks, no chips. The table was also cut from stone. Well, cut being the wrong word. It had such delicate legs, and a thin top that made it look like painted wood. The shriveled orange one sat across from Buck, and with a toothless grin across his face. So, who's small, round, and orange over there? Buck said. The little guy laughed into a cough. Arlo gave him a pat on the back, trying to soothe the coughing fit. He's our last link to the time before the mother. He's preserved somehow, by the will of the old ones, possibly. His memories are invaluable. When the mother came, it was far before my birth. But I've heard that the time before was wiped clean from our records. Not a trace of our old writings or culture seemed to exist. And yet here he is, Buck said, a little surprised. He was pickled or something like that, dried out, salted, preserved, maybe even sour. Oh, old one, what's your name? Hugh. A sound like frogs
Hugh?
The sound like frogs being pressed against a landslide came forth. Hugh G. Johnson.
God damn it.
He croaked every word. His face impenetrably serious. Excuse me, are you? No, that's not my name. I'm just clowning on you, nerd. Buck was surprised.
Their old culture was a bit different.
You speak Galactic? And how do you know that slang? That's definitely Earth circa 2000. Those are some primo antique phrases.
More like...
Don't you know it's rude to ask a lady her age?
Oh.
You're a lady? No. I'm a Corbin. Born and raised on this shithole rock. Arlo, who's this primate? Buck Peters! He fell from the sky. He touched the mother and was banished to the Arbiter's judgment. That's a tough break, kid. Good luck. And he killed it, Arlo interrupted. I've heard that tradition dictates he become the new Arbiter. That's why we've come. The preserved one rubbed a froggy hand over his head, scratching the bumps and growths. Indeed. I don't know what he sounds like. What is he? Something really... what does a pickled person sound like?
I mean, you had him...
Palpatine, that's what I was going for. Hang on.
Yeah, that's what you did. He's a
yeah.
little bit more Palpatine-y.
Yeah, there we go. I got it.
Yeah.
Indeed, I
was
remember
gonna-
telling you such. In the Chronicle of Bergamot. Bergamot did challenge the law of the Underking Lance at the time, and finagled his way into trial by combat with the king's brother, killing him. He proved he was in the right, and became the first arbiter. First of the innocent. The point of the arbiter here is to seek retribution for crimes.
I bet the old guy is Bergamot.
Oh, hey man, don't get ahead of me here. Also, bergamot, I think, is either a flower or a color. I don't remember. Anyway.
Uh-huh.
Then why was the last one a rock monster? Buck said. It was a statue at first, though that's from a time before me, Arlo said. The mother is said to have breathed life into her champion. The old one looked at him in a sour way. Or that's what she tells us, he corrected himself. It was a statue, I remember that. She used it to kill the arbiter of King Fallen, the last king of the Corbins here. And then with unnatural magics, she banished him and ascended to the throne. Well, what does all of this have to do with that lake of blood? Buck said, tired and wanting to skip history. He didn't study history for a reason. It's what happened to old people. He didn't give a shit. He dropped the runic necklace onto the table. Its light dim earlier was now bright enough for Buck to see the old Froggo clearly. Or Corbin, rather. That was what he called them, I guess. Anyway, he saw the old Corbin had a similar necklace on. The Froggo went quiet. He put a hand to his own necklace and held it tight. His breathing became labored and tears welled in his eyes. He snuffled to himself and said, That is the rune of the architect. The architect was a position that used to be highly respected. Alas, we don't have one anymore. The architects were responsible for molding the stone around us into homes. Where did you get this? I found it at the bottom of a crevasse on a freshly killed Corbin. Are you a Corbin? Can I say that? I'm not good at keeping up with these things. There's no way that's possible. The last architect was killed 400 years ago, along with the rest of the royal family, when King Fallen was deposed. A massacre of dissidents afterward. He went silent. You say, a pool of blood? How is that possible for such a thing to even exist 400 years? Arlo said. A lake. I stood at least nuts deep in it. A heavy knocking came from the stone door.
Thank you. It's been a while.
What?
Yeah.
I needed something to get my attention again.
Sorry, that's exposition. My sweet boy.
Yeah.
The heavy knocking came from the stone door. Just 2 raps. Arlo stood and opened the door. 7 Froggos stood there, at attention, spears ready, hands in a salute. The central one moved forward. Captain, it's been done. Thank you. All of you, come in. There's something I think we all need to hear. Buck eyed the Froggos. They were much more built than he seemed to remember. Though Buck stood head and shoulders and waist above them, he somehow felt inferior. Their stone spears glinted in the rune light. Captain, what's this? The square-jawed one pointed to the rune on the table. Who this? Yet he pointed to the orange Corbin. And why am I here? Buck stood. There's no time for... The orange Corbin let out a long croak, loud for his little size. Arlo dropped down to one knee. The guards followed suit. If you lived, I demanded Arlo, bring you to me. As we have a new arbiter, I have a crime I desire retribution for. The old Froggo shuffled over to the leather flap and went into the other room, returning a short time later, with some mushrooms and some glowing old moss, and a very black rock. He loaded them all into a mortar and pestle, ground them down to a glowing, messy paste. The thing had a foul odor. Unfortunately, he couldn't say it was the foulest thing he'd smelt, but the frog was before him. Froggo, should say Froggo. The Froggo was before him, before he even noticed, holding the mortar. "Arbiter, I ask that you kneel." Buck knelt down, the Froggo standing Buck knelt down, the Froggo standing a little short of face height now. He could see the brightness in the old boy's eyes that seemed out of place in such a pickled body. They burned like sapphire stars in the blackness of space. The Froggo put a finger into the luminous paste and put a daub on his tongue, next drawing a line from his forehead down to the bridge of his froggy nose. Then he fingered another daub and held it out to Buck. Buck cringed, but he stuck his tongue out. The frog put a bit on Buck's tongue and then painted a horizontal line across Buck's brow ridge, temple to temple. The frog swallowed the paste, and so did Buck. It tasted like mud and wood chips. He tried not to gag. It burned as it went down. By the time it hit his stomach, Buck could feel his whole body getting hot. He realized he hadn't eaten anything since he fell from space. He was so hungry. He didn't just feel hungry in his stomach now. He was hungry all over, in a sense. The runic necklace was around his neck now. He could feel the weight of its chain on his skin. It was cold, yet the pendant was hot against his skin. But he couldn't look down at it. The old Froggo smiled. "My name is Jodeci." The words seemed to flow out of him. "Hail and well met, I'm Buck Peters." "Arbiter Buck, I demand justice for a crime." Buck felt odd, but he said what seemed to be the next thing in his mind. "Name the criminal." "The Holy Mother." Done.
Done.
Not so funny, but
Dun dun dun.
I hope that there are some interesting story points in this one for you guys.
Oh, I thought that was
Yeah.
Buck's response. Like, I want revenge on the Holy Mother. He's like, done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no problem, man.
He
I
does
got
say,
you.
He does say done.
Okay.
But yeah, also the story is done too. That was kind of a meta thing I did there.
Yeah, it threw me off.
Sorry, not the laugh a minute speed that we normally go at, but
No, that's not it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. No, it's, I mean, yours are more an adventure, right? And it's really, like, very, 1960s, Buck Rogers, adventuring spaceman, like...
Yeah.
So it's an adventure every time.
Yeah.
And it's lighthearted, which is fun. A lot of world building. I always know right where I am. I know I'm in I can imagine the big old, like, crystal palace that they're in with the buildings or rooms carved into the sides. It's just like, I know what it looks like.
yeah.
And now that you've mentioned that it was originally for a D&D campaign, I can definitely see how that would work out. Like, the setting up the episodes for sessions and whatnot. It works. It seems like it would work good for a D&D campaign, too.
We're about to hit the point where I, have passed what I had originally thought of for the D&D campaign, so I'm getting into uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Next episode is going to be
Nice.
nuts. Nuts to walls. That's what we say, right? To the window, to the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just tons of skeet.
Just tons of skeet.
Pools. Episode 1, pools of blood. 2, pools of skeet. I mean, really just showed how desperate we would become for laughs at that point.
Yeah, sorry I don't have so many jokes.
No. Don't apologize for it.
It doesn't, like, I think we talked about it last time we recorded, like, it doesn't have to be like a television sitcom. You don't have to have a joke a minute or whatever.
And we have our
guideline is.
And we have our different writing styles, so whereas yours is like an adventure that is unfolding. And I really, like, now that I also were a few bits into it, like, the pacing feel like the starting and stopping points of each story feels really episodic, but it has like that. It has a great structure of like beginning, middle, and end to it.
Yeah.
So each episode is structured really well.
Well, thank you.
Definitely.
And since there's a lot of background, things being established, but if you're worried about like the pacing and like the presentation of jokes, like what I do is, and like I said with my story, I run through it once and I just listen to how it sounds, like literally coming out of my mouth, and if I feel like it's too long, then I'll go and cut bits, even though I was like, oh, I liked that line, I needed that, but pacing is also something to consider. And I mean, I'm just saying what you're saying of like, sorry, it's not this, but if you feel it's like that, then
Well, there was a few jokes in there that I think I might have gotten.
Oh, definitely.
But, the
I love
part
the
is
pickled
kind of...
orange boy.
What?
I love the pickled orange boy.
Pickled orange boy, yeah. I think I'm gonna go with the thing where he just says a new name every time he introduces himself. We'll see.
Why would you do that?
Because it's funny.
Confusing.
He's the only orange one, so it's like obvious.
Although I was a little bit confused because like I said, I thought he was Bergamo, but then the two characters had a little bit similar voices, so I wasn't sure who was who. And then I was like, "There's a third character, right?"
Yeah.
So is he that person that had a new name at the end?
Yes. The orange boy. See, whenever
Does
I
not
refer
have a
to
name
him,
yet.
I call him a Corbin, and then I refer to Arlo as the froggy guy. So,
yeah, I got that a bit.
Corbins, technically.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that, what the
old boy
difference
is old
between
enough to
the
remember-
Fragas and Corbins were.
Yeah, the old guys are old enough to remember what their species called themselves, and like were called by others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had some interaction with other people, apparently somehow around the year 2000 on Earth.
Somehow?
Well, he's been pickled to live indefinitely, maybe salted too.
Could be sour.
Pickled frog.
Yeah.
Pickled salted frog
Sounds
is just
delicious.
Like... Anyway. Anything you think I could do better?
No, that was my note about the pacing. I didn't want it to sound like too harsh, but I was worried that sounded a bit too harsh.
Oh, no.
But if that wasn't criticism enough for you, then
if I
I'll dig deep and find something.
If I need to pick up the pacing, you can just start snoring into your microphone.
No. But yeah, because it is something that we're listening to, I don't know, maybe sometimes watch out that plot points aren't, or like action isn't too far away from each other, so that way we remember where the characters are physically before they start moving again, because you could get lost sometimes with the description.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jared, did you have anything you wanted to add? Like good or bad or whatever?
No, it was good. I don't think I have much more to say. Like, as far as the only point I was confused on was what the difference between the Corbins and Pragas was, but I guess we've gone over that, so...
like, yeah. I was also thinking, like, maybe the Corbins are orange and they are separate, but then I also thought, no, he's just the only one who's actually said the name of the race so far. So, they're not Frogos, that's what Buck was calling them.
That's what Buck's calling them.
So, like,
yeah.
I thought I got that, but, yeah. All right.
Well, thank you guys for coming to Adam's Joke Circus, and catch you next time.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All that fun shit.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe with the date that you think it is, because I'm doing that again.
Yep, July 26th.
There you go.
What?
No,
Man,
I mean, here
we are
here
time
it's
travelers.
still the 26th.
Actually, it's actually not July 26th.
I gotta tell you, the future is bleak.
It most certainly is the 26th.
The 27th is when things start to go wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, spoiler.
Start! Jesus Christ, what's it worse? Holy shit.
Start selling your stocks now, because there's no point to having money ever again.
I'm a millennial. I don't have stocks.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Savings?
Yeah.
We graduated just in time for the economic collapse. We didn't have jobs to begin with.
Yeah.
I remember that. I was in high school. It was terrible. I could not get a summer job to save my life. Because all the old
I couldn't get a real job to save my life.
All the 40-year-olds were trying to get jobs.
Yeah, all the 40-year-olds were taking the fucking grocery store jobs, and I couldn't get one.
Yeah.
Sons of bitches.
Do you have any prior experience?
Hey guys, that was a fun sci-fi. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.